everyone, this is my YouTube channel abinav 23. Today I am going to teach you the first chapter of economics class 12, which is introduction. The first concept of this chapter is a simple economy. Think of any society. People in the society need many goods and services in their everyday life, including food, clothing, shelter, transport facilities like roads and railways, postal services and various other services like that of teachers and doctors. In fact, the list of goods and services that any individual needs is too large, so that no individual in society to begin with has all the things that he needs. Every individual has some amount of only a few of goods and services that she would like to use. He may be having some goods and services that he may like to use, but he may not be having everything that he wants to use. A family farm, let us take an example of it. A family farm may own a plot of land, some grains, farming implements, maybe a pair of bullocks, and also the labor services of the family members. A farmer, to start a farming, he may have all these things, but still he needs very much to start farming. The teacher in the local school has the skills required to impart education to the students. Some others in society may not have any resources excepting their own labor services. Some may have some things that they need, but many people still do not have anything that they need for their living. Each of these decision-making units can produce some goods or services by using the resources that are available to them, and they can also use part of the produce to obtain many other goods and services which it needs. Let us take an example of a farmer. Farmer can grow a crop by using the resources that are available, and then he can sell it. By selling it, he makes money. By getting money, he can easily get the other goods and services that he needs. Okay, similarly, the weaver can get the goods and services that he wants in exchange for the cloth she produces in her yarn. The teacher can earn some money by teaching students in the school and use the money for obtaining the goods and services that she wants. The laborer also can try to fulfill her needs by using whatever money she can earn by obtaining the goods and services that she wants. Like this, each individual can thus use her resources to fulfill her needs. They can use their resources to fulfill their needs. It goes without saying that no individual has unlimited resources compared to her needs. Their needs are unlimited, but the resources that are available will be in limited form. So the amount of corn that the family farm can produce is limited by the amount of resources it has. How much the resources are there with him, he will use only those resources, and he can produce only limited quantity of corn. Same like that, how much resources that a person has, how much resources that a unit has, it uses only those resources to produce some other things. So that the services that it can procure, the goods and services that it can procure in exchange of that product is also limited. Okay, the resources are also limited and the production is limited, so that the goods and services that he can obtain is also limited. As a result, the family is forced to make a choice between the different goods and services that are available. If a family has unlimited money, that family can purchase everything that they need. But if they have limited money, they have to make a choice between the different goods and services that are available. They can only purchase the essential goods and services that they require. It can have more of a good or service only by giving up some amount of other goods or services. By giving up other goods and services, they can procure other goods and services that they need. Means, for example, if the family wants to have a bigger house, it may have to give up the idea of having a few more acres of arable land. If it wants more and better education for the children, it may have to give up some of the luxuries of life. So to get something, a family has to leave something. It has to give up something. The same is the case with all other individuals in a society. Everyone faces scarcity of resources. The resources are limited, but the needs are unlimited. Therefore, everyone has to use the limited resources in the best possible way to fulfill their needs. In general, every individual in society is engaged in the production of some goods and services, and she wants a combination of many goods and services, not all of which are produced by her. Means by selling their goods and services, they obtain other goods and services that they require, so that, for example, the total amount of corn produced by family farm along with other farming units in a society must match the total amount of corn that people in the society collectively want to consume. The meaning of this statement is the production has to match with the consumption. Means how much the consumers demand, that much the producers also have to produce. Means let us take an instance of a farmer. If the demand is for 2 kgs of corns, a family farm also has to produce 2 kgs of corns. It may need not produce 3 or 4 kgs of corns. There is no need to produce excess corns here, so that the production must be matched with the consumption. If people in the society do not want as much corn as the farming units are capable of producing collectively, a part of the resources of these units could have been used in the production of some other goods or services which is in high demand. Okay, before a family farm was producing 4 kgs of corns, but now the demand is just for 2 kgs of corns. What they need to do here is, a farmer has to reallocate the resources that are available. Means the resources that are available to a farmer, I have said that a pair of bullocks, some acres of land, labor services, etc. He has to use the available resources and he has to allocate those resources to produce other goods and services also. Means if he was using 100% of land to produce 2 kgs of corns, if he was using 100% of land that he was having to produce 2 kgs of corns, to produce 4 kgs of corns, now the demand is for 2 kgs of corns. What he has to do here is, if tomato is in high demand, then he can allocate the resources that he is having to produce tomatoes. If he is having 100% of land, he is using 100% of land, he can take out 50% of land. Out of 100% of land, he can use 50% of land, he can reallocate the 50% of land to grow other 2 kgs of tomatoes. So like this, if the demand is low, he has to produce those products in a lesser quantity and he has to reallocate those resources to produce other goods or services. On the other hand, if people in the society want more corn compared to what the farming units are producing collectively, the resources used in the production of some other goods and services may be reallocated to the production of corn. Now they have already allocated 50% of land to produce 2 kgs of tomatoes and 50% of land to grow 2 kgs of corns. Now if the corn demand is high, now they have to reallocate this 50% of land to grow another 2 kgs of corns, so that they can match the consumption. Production can be matched with the consumption here, like this. So reallocation of the resources is so much important in economics. Similar is the case with all other goods and services. Just as the resources of an individual are scarce, the resources of the society are also scarce in comparison to what the people in the society might collectively want to have. Okay, the resources are so much limited so that the consumers demand will be so much high, but the resources will be limited and the needs or wants of the consumers will be high, means unlimited. So the scarce resources of the society have to be allocated properly in the production of different goods and services in keeping with the likes and dislikes of the people of the society. If people like another 2 kgs of corn, a farmer has to allocate this 50% of land to grow that another 2 kgs of corn. But suddenly if the demand is low for corn, he has to suddenly reallocate 50% of land to grow another product which is in high demand. So reallocation of the resources is important. Any allocation of resources of the society would result in the production of a particular combination of different goods and services. In this example, a farmer has allocated 50% of land to grow 2 kgs of tomatoes. Now, the allocation of the resources results in the production of a particular combination of different goods and services. He allocated 50% of land to grow 2 kgs of tomatoes. Now, new product means a new combination of goods and services will be produced by the allocation of resources. The goods and services thus produced will have to be distributed among the individuals of the society. The goods that are produced means here in this example it is tomatoes. So the goods that are produced by him needs to be distributed equally among the individuals of the society. The allocation of the limited resources and the distribution of the final mix of goods and services are two of the basic economics problems faced by the society. These are the two basic economic problems faced by the society. The first one is reallocation, and the second one is distribution. So, allocation of the limited resources. Okay. Allocation of the different resources and distribution of the products produced to each and every individuals in the society is so much important, so that these are the two basic economic problems faced by the society. In reality, any economy is much more complex compared to the society discussed above. So in reality, in economics, any economy is much more complex compared to the society now that we have discussed now. So that next we are going to discuss about the central problems of an economy. Central problems of an economy. Now we have discussed about two basic problems faced by the society. One is allocation of different goods and services, allocation of limited resources, and the distribution of final goods and services. The next topic is central problems of economy. Okay, central problems of an economy. Production, exchange and consumption of goods and services are among the basic economic activities of life. One is production, the second one is exchange, and the third one is consumption. These are the basic economic activities of life. In the course of these basic economic activities, every society has to face scarcity of resources, and it is the scarcity of resources that gives rise to the problem of choice. Before we have discussed that if there is a scarcity of resources, we have to properly allocate those resources and we have to properly make a choice between different goods and services that we need. So, the scarcity of resources may lead to the problem of choice making. And the scarce resources of an economy have competing usages. We have limited resources, but still the usage is high. So the scarce resources of an economy have been competing usages. In other words, every society has to decide on how to use its scarce resources. Every society has to use their scarce resources in the best possible way to fulfill their needs. Now, the problems of an economy are very often summarized as follows. Now, we are going to discuss about the problems of an economy. The first one is what is produced and in what quantities. What is produced and in what quantities. Every society must decide on how much of each of the many possible goods and services it will produce. It is very simple. What to produce and in what quantities to produce. So, whether to produce more of food, clothing, housing, or to have more of luxury goods, whether to have more agricultural goods or have industrial products and services, whether to use more resources in education and health or to use more resources in building military services, whether to have more of consumption goods or to have investment goods which will boost production and consumption tomorrow. Okay, now we want to know a main difference between consumption goods and investment goods. Consumption goods. Consumption goods satisfy our current needs. It is just for present, but the investment goods will boost production and consumption tomorrow, means it is for future. Consumption goods means the goods that are used by the final consumers, but the investment goods are not used by the final consumers, but they are used by the producers to produce some other products. The investment goods, example, machineries. Machineries are used to produce another goods so that it can boost production and consumption in the future. Then the second problem is, how are these goods produced? Every society has to decide on how much of which of the resources to use in the production of each of the different goods and services. So, every society has to decide how much resources to how much resources should be used to produce one product, and how much of which of the resources to use to produce another product. Means if there are, in case of farmers, 100% of land is using to produce 2 kgs of corns, I have said that. And now, for example, if he is growing other 3 or 4 vegetables, for each and every vegetables, how much of which of the resources means there will be, I said that land, laborers, bullets, and some grains. Okay, a farmer may be having these resources, land, laborers, bullets, some grains, and if he is growing 3 or 4 vegetables, he has to decide how much of which of these resources to produce other goods and services. Means he's growing 4 crops. Let us think of it. 4 crops. For the first crop, he may allocate 25% of land, and for the second crop, he may be allocating 30% of land, and so on. Same like that, he has to decide how much laborers should he allocate to which product. To the first crop, he will be allocating 10% of laborers. For the second one, he may be allocating 40%, like that. He has to allocate different resources and to grow different crops. Means how much of which of the resources to use to the production of each of the different goods and services. Whether to use more labors or more machines, which of the available technologies to adopt in the production of each of the goods. Okay, another confusion is whether to use more labors or more machines. There is a problem here. If we use more labors and if we use less machines, the production work will be too slow. But if we use more machineries and less laborers, it leads to unemployment of people. So, and the next confusion is which of the available technologies to adopt in the production of each of the goods. He has some technologies. Which of those technologies he should use to produce which goods and services? Then, the third one is for whom are these goods produced? Who gets how much of the goods that are produced in the economy? He should distribute these goods and services which are produced equally. How should the produce of the economy be distributed among the individuals of the economy? How should he distribute the products that he has grown, that crops that he has grown? How should he distribute, and how much should he distribute to each of the people in the society? Whether or not to ensure a minimum amount of consumption for everyone in the economy. So, should he give a minimum amount of crops to everyone, or the other way? Whether or not elementary education and basic health services should be available freely for everyone in the economy. Okay, should we give free elementary education to the people, or should we not give free elementary education to the people? These are the confusions that arises in the economy. Thus, every economy faces the problem of allocating the scarce resources to the production of different possible goods and services, and of distributing the produced goods and services among the individuals within the economy. Already we have discussed about the two major economic problems faced by the society. The first one is allocation of the limited resources. The second one is distribution of final mix of goods and services. See, these are the two problems that arise in a society. So the allocation of scarce resources and the distribution of the final goods and services are the central problems of any economy. Thank you for watching my video. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get notified and also to get new video updates. Thank you.